Okay, you up? All right, good morning.
He's over me.
Todd?
First off, first Mike, Todd Archer with ESPN. The injured guys, how'd they come out of yesterday, and you expect more? For the guys that didn't practice, do you expect them to be able to do some more today?
Some will. Yeah, some will be limited today. So, I mean, everybody's making progress. Just being on a 6-day week, it'll take the full week.
And then when you were evaluating quarterbacks coming into the draft, what are your thoughts on Jaden Daniels, and what have you seen from him?
Well, first thing is, you look at the arm talent. I think that's, as you go through guys, you start to separate them. Played a ton of football. That's something that I'm always impressed with. But he can make all the throws. He's athletic. I think they're doing a really good job. I think he's a great fit for Cliff's system. You got to be real impressed with how he's taking care of the football too. I think for a young quarterback, that really stands out also.
Travis Schroeder with The Athletic. With Jake Ferguson, what is the process in the concussion deal nowadays? When obviously there's different levels to players when they can return. So is it one of those things where the medical staff just tells you, hey, he can practice now, or just how do you guys go about when he can get back on the field?
Yeah, I mean, the details of it. I mean, they've obviously have changed over time, but yeah, he is in in the protocol, and as he moves through, we're made aware of how he's doing. Obviously, when we see him, we get to talk to him. So, but yeah, that's all driven by the medical process.
And then with Brevin Spann-Ford, just where do you think he's grown the most since you guys signed him?
I mean, I think he's grown all the way around. I mean, he's getting stronger. His understanding of playing all three spots, bless you, is very impressive. But I think the young man has a very, very bright future. He has a wide body, but he definitely moves like an F. The movement things that we ask him to do. So I think he's done a really nice job. Taking advantage of opportunities, and the one thing you really don't know until they get here is to see how he plays on special teams. So in his limited opportunities, just during those conversations of how we were lining those guys up, he made an impression on John Fausel and our special teams coaches.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. I know you got a lot of moving parts with the offensive line. How concerned are you about that group and who you might have available for Washington?
I mean, yes, you're always concerned, when you're not, standing here and no different back in training camp. So, but this is that time of year that we're in. We go, you're on a 6-day schedule, and so, and really, my concern won't rise until we get done with Saturday's practice. So we got the full week. So we'll take the full week to figure this out.
Have you ever given a special teams coach as much power, in a sense? I don't know if that's the right word, like you do Fausel?
I would say no. I don't even know what the end of the question is.
How much do you trust him, I guess?
Oh, I trust John. Yeah, no, I think John's very, I trust John tremendously. I think just like anything, what you learn as a head coach is the importance of, the details in a job description, in every job responsibility. And what I've learned over time is how valuable the special teams coordinator is beyond just his, primary responsibility of special teams. He's very involved with myself and Ryan Feeder in our game management process. He's very involved in our, penalty prevention and officiating process, even on game day, especially since myself being the play caller. He's very involved in our, we call it the Cowboy 6, our continuing education process of the fundamentals of football. So, these are things that I've just learned over time because, the offensive, defensive coordinator positions, their job responsibilities are more, diverse with the management, particularly of the assistant coaches, where John, is managing one coach. So yes, you could really make the case that he takes on a lot of the assistant head coach responsibility. So yes, he's definitely a very, very, very trusted comrade.
Joe.
Joe Hoyt, All City Dallas. You mentioned yesterday Deron Bland has to get past the threshold to complete the process. What exactly does it take to complete the process for him?
Well, I just got to see him practice. I mean, we were in a walkthrough yesterday. With helmets. Today we'll be in shells. So, it's You know, just to go play football and not be in a padded practice since August, you know, that's a bit of a challenge. But it's, you know, it's just we got to do the best we can. Most important thing I'm looking for is, you know, is for him to be confident and comfortable to go out there and do this. And I think, you know, with that, just the communication with everybody involved is critical. So, you know, that's, you know, once again part of where we are in the season as far as how we have to practice. But you know, he's been pushing this thing now for about 4 or 5 weeks. So I'm not as concerned about his conditioning. You know, we just want to make sure he's football ready, and that's obviously a challenge to do without being in pads.
Darren Woodson's a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame again. Did you have any memories of, you know, game playing against him, coaching against him, or as a player?
Yeah, definitely. We were just talking about him with the PR staff, and the only time I really got to see Darren play live I was with the Kansas City Chiefs. We came down to Dallas on Thanksgiving Day and played in the game, and it was a very physical football game, and you obviously, you know, the Cowboys being defending champs, you know, you knew of, you know, Troy and Michael and Emmett and Dion, and, you know, just you know, the prominent guys that you watch from TV and so forth, just because being in the AFC, that, you know, I've never competed against them. But the two players that day that I thought just jumped off the field to me was Darren and Jay Novacek. Jay actually had a big day. He had a big touchdown where he jumped over our safety, scored from about 50 out. But I didn't know enough about Darren that day, and I've always been so impressed with him, because you know, when you look back at that era of football, you know, primarily defenses, you know, stayed in base personnel, and, you know, and had Dion that just basically shut down the left side of the field. But, you know, you're able to play nickel and strong safety and do the things in that era. I always had such great respect for him as a player. Just, you know, that's my memory of 1995, coming down here and losing that game on Thanksgiving. But and then, you know, just to get to know him a little bit, you know, here personally, I just a stud of a man.
Okay. Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Mike, what is it about Cliff Kingsbury and his scheme and the way he's using Jaden Daniels that has him so comfortable so early on?
I think, you know, the big thing is, you know, he's keeping them in clean plays. I think the tempo definitely favors the offense. You know, I think every offensive coordinator would like to play that way. So I think that part of it's been very helpful. But he's dynamic. You know, you have to have that extra support element because of his threat of running the ball and his ability to throw on the move and be able to hit all the different quadrants of the field. So I've been so impressive. And Cliff throws a lot at you. You know, he does a great job. So he's going to schematically stress you, and Jaden's a big part of that.
Sid.
Coach Sidney Staples, DG10 Sports. 2/3 of the way through the season, what have you learned about your team over the course of these past few weeks that maybe you didn't know back in training camp?
Well, you never know how resilient they're going to be, because, I mean, you have to go through the fight to find that out. And I think these guys are, particularly, you know, the locker room, most importantly, have just really stayed the course, just with all the different moving parts. So I've been very impressed with their work ethic and ability just to stay after it.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio on the Fan. Dante Fowler was a valued member here with the rotation. Can you speak to how you see Joe playing to his strengths and his numbers? It's not just the sacks, but he's one of the leaders in tackles for loss.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's very impactful. I mean, and just, you know, we used him a little bit in a couple of goal line sets when he was here. You know, he was an X factor there, but, you know, particularly just his ability to, you know, crash the C gap, but really go, you know, a lot like D-Law does. You know, we call it a VAR technique. So he's been very, very productive in that, and particularly run situations. So yeah, Donnie's playing very well. You know, playing with his hair on fire. So he's playing a lot more, obviously, there than the opportunities he had here, and he's been extremely productive. Stayed healthy. He's been healthy too.
Right. Babe Loffmer, 105.3 The Fan. Mike, you mentioned Cliff Kingsbury there, and they do more no huddle. I don't know what they do as much as anyone, if not more than anyone, with no huddle. Mm-hmm. So what stress does that put on your defense?
Oh, communication, number one. I mean, you got to, you know, the communication of the call. You know, and just, you know, once again, you know, defensive guys, and I can remember reading this. Bill Parcells had a quote once where, anytime, the defense was on the field, 6 plays, offensively run the ball, just because, they're not really designed to be on that field that long. So the ability to really stress their conditioning is definitely a weapon of the no huddle. So I think that's part of it. But the biggest challenge is really the communication, and it keeps your, limits your substitution, and like anything, we all want to, match personnel and things like that, and particularly down and distance in situation football. So it definitely stresses the defense.
Saudis of The Athletic. Mike, after the draft, there was talk about the confidence and demeanor of Tyler Guyton. As he's kind of gone through the growing pains of a rookie year, how have you seen that hold up?
I think he's, charting a path that's probably pretty normal for a rookie. The grind of it is this is the longest football season of his life. Coming off his last year at Oklahoma, and then the off season, get ready for the draft. And I think the biggest challenge for these guys is fighting through the injury part of it. And he's had his share of things to deal with. But he's a consistent young man.
All righty.
Thank you.
Howdy, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to Dallas Cowboys Today, your #1 source for all things America's team. If you're a diehard football fan and love our Dallas Cowboys, you're in the right place. So don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to stay updated with all the latest Cowboys news. Let's get started. Today, we've got some news that could impact not just this season, but the future of our team. But first, let me ask you this. If you were the Cowboys head coach, would you give Trey Lance more opportunities or stick with Cooper Rush as the starter? Think about it, because Mike McCarthy's decision has everyone talking. 3 o'clock, let's get into it. After a tough 34-10 loss to the Houston Texans, the Dallas Cowboys are scrambling to find a way to salvage the season. With a 3-7 record, the playoffs seem like a distant dream. And with Dak Prescott sidelined for the rest of the year, head coach Mike McCarthy has confirmed Cooper Rush will be the starting quarterback for the upcoming game against the Washington Commanders. Newspaper, but what about Trey Lance? The young quarterback, who was the 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft, didn't see a single snap in the last game. McCarthy admitted that he regrets not giving Lance a chance to take the field, saying, "I should have put Trey in at the end. It's something I've thought about a lot. Broken heart, is Cooper Rush enough?" While Rush threw for 354 yards and a touchdown against the Texans, the loss highlighted the many adjustments the team still needs to make. Meanwhile, Trey Lance continues to wait for his opportunity to prove himself. Flex biceps, so what's next? McCarthy has made it clear that all focus is on the next game. It's do or die. Our backs are against the wall, and we've got to fight with everything we've got. The matchup against the Commanders might be the team's last chance to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. Magnifying glass tilted left, now it's your turn, fans. Do you think Cooper Rush is the right choice to lead the offense right now? Or should Trey Lance step up and start making his mark? And how do you feel about Mike McCarthy's leadership under such challenging circumstances? Speech balloon, drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video with fellow fans, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here, our passion for the Cowboys never wavers, even in the toughest times. Together, we'll keep following every move our team makes. American football, go Cowboys! Let's turn this season around.